Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. This is our meet and greet session of Conversation for Humanity. We'll be getting started with the call at 3 p.m. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a constructive and very positive way. We want to know what the issues are out there facing people today, because it is our goal to both work with employers and employees to bring them to the table of humanity and bring humanity back to the workforce. We always will be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, except for Conversation for Humanity. We have a meet and greet on 2:45. Please feel free to invite your friends, your coworkers, family, your dogs, your cats. Bring them, everybody. We want everybody here to have a great and engaging conversation about humanity. And remember, Tuesdays host is Sandy Chernoff with Share and Care with Sandy. Thursday's host is Carla Fedigan with Humanity Happy Hour. And as you jump on, whether it be on YouTube or on LinkedIn Live, please comment in the chat and let us know where you're jumping on from. And if you're watching this on the replay on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube, please use the comment hashtag replay and still let us know what you're calling in from, whether it be overseas, United States, wherever. We love to know and reach out to you and have a great and engaging conversation. Just to let you also know, we're allowed to have 10 people at a time into the room to join us live. So if you'd like to join, please message in the comments, and we'll have someone monitoring those live streams so we can get you jumped on board, and we'll get you the live stream link here shortly in just a second. So, Tyson, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Yeah. Dyslexia with my mouth. Pretty good.
Hello, Miss Carla. How are you doing today?
Hey, Chris. How are you? Hey, Tyson. Good to see you. It's been a while.
I know. I've been extremely busy. I'm working 3 jobs right now, and I am tired.
We got to change that for you, my friend.
Yes, we do. But get this, Carla. He's got news for Sandy.
Ooh,
intriguing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just say this. I finally went to the dentist after 5 years of not going.
Oh, she'll be doing the happy dance. She'll be doing the happy dance that you actually went to the dentist.
Yeah, but she's going to smack me for what I found out.
What did you find out?
Well, for one, I need to
She doesn't, I will, so go ahead. Spill the beans.
I need to get a root canal on one of my molars, and then I also need all 4 of my wisdom teeth out. But the interesting thing that I actually wanted to talk to Sandy about was one of my wisdom teeth on my left side ended up growing in sideways.
Ooh, ouch.
Painful.
Actually, no, there's no pain on this side whatsoever.
No, when they take it out.
Yeah, I'm going to be out from work for a few days. I know that for sure.
Yeah, say yes to drugs.
Well, I mean, I already have, but that's besides the point.
Not like that. Oh, Lord.
Tyson, you didn't say that.
I don't want to know about that. I don't want to know about that.
Okay, moving on. Anyways, how's your days going?
Good.
So what we'll be talking about today, and Brian should be on shortly because he's accepted the conversation call today, so Brian will be intrigued by this as well, is can we let go of what we fear to lose? Can we truly let go and just have another perspective of a way of life, and maybe even living the life that we love, just like Brian has told us many times, and just really creating that environment that we can not only do that for ourselves, but we can also give that out to other people.
A lot of people can't.
And
a lot of people are sitting there thinking, what are you talking about, Chris? letting go of what I'm afraid to lose, you know?
Well,
And
it can be
when
many
you keep it simple, it's like, I was just talking to somebody earlier today. There's so many people out there that are going, I'm going to hang on for 3 more years and then I'm going to retire. Can you imagine hanging on to a place you don't like, a job you don't like, where you spend the better part of your day and not like it and just hang on to hang on?
I couldn't
No.
do that.
Now, I'm not telling everybody to just quit your job and start your passion, you know, because, yeah, you still have bills to pay.
Right.
Well, I mean, for an example, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working 3 jobs until I can get the job that I want. So,
Which is?
a tech a tech installer for a Verizon authorized retailer.
Okay.
So I basically go out from the warehouse with a ton of deliveries and orders and whatnot, and I basically be going to people's houses and installing them.
Uh-huh.
Which, for me, tech is a big part of my life, and I love to deal with tech. So just being able to get my foot in the door with that, I'm basically using the jobs that I have right now as a stepping stone. And once I get there, everything is going to get a lot better than how it is right now. I can already say that for sure.
So what kind of installations are you going to be doing?
Probably like Wi-Fi, router, all that kind of stuff. Setting up smart TV, setting up phones, all the stuff I've done in my place. I don't even know how many times now. So,
are you going to do this as an independent, your own business, or work for somebody?
for right now, working for somebody, because what I actually want to do, I want to be a world-class DJ / radio star, but that's going to take some time for me to get to. So
that's your true passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also am good with tech, so that's why I'm going into the tech field right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what doing the life that you love is, because you're passionate about it. That's what you want to do. You know what your purpose is, and that goes into a lot of great things. And there's the man himself for the day, Brian. How you doing today,
Brian?
sir?
How's it going, bud?
This is like a reunion time, you know? Getting all the older people on here. Where the heck you been?
Some of us work.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, some of it's due.
Some of us try to work.
Yeah, exactly. So, Brian, what we'll be talking about today, and I probably left you a voicemail about it, is about letting go of what you fear to lose. And I know you have a great perspective onto that. So, Brian, is fear real, or is it in our heads? I mean, how does that look like for you, and maybe what you can see into other people?
Fear is a perception. It's fundamentally a thought about something other than what's happening now. It's usually future based, and then those future based thoughts can manifest themselves into body sensations and lead into stress and a whole bunch of other physical ailments. But the genesis of it is simply thinking about something that may or may not happen sometime in the future. So it's ultimately not real, but the mind doesn't differentiate between, real or not real in terms of feelings, thoughts, emotions, and so forth. They think it's all one and the same, or it does at least. So can we overcome our fear? Absolutely. There are ways to eliminate fear. There's ways to eliminate phobias and addictions and all matter of things. If you if you know where and how to do it, you certainly can go about doing that stuff. Yeah. But look at the last year and a half. I mean, how much of the world has lived in absolute fear?
Right.
Whether that fear has been propagated on by others and manipulated and or promoted. The media is certainly good at that, but people believe what they think is real, right? I mean, you see a lot of things happening around the world, and people have lived in fear of what might happen, even though they have no definitive data to say that it will happen. I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, you can walk across the street and get struck by a car. You could be walking around Florida and get struck by lightning. I mean, that happens. But we don't live our lives in fear of what may happen. Yet, when we get told that something might happen, we end up starting to buy into it because of so-called people who we put faith in. But yeah, it's simply put, Chris, no, it's not real. It's just a thought about something that may or may not happen. And there's a great Mark Twain quote about it, that we worry about most of the things that never come true, or something of that nature. I'd have to look it up, but so.
Nice. I just love your perspective, because Brian, as usual, you really make us think. It goes deep, that's for sure.
Well, I apologize for doing such a very un-2021 thing of us, to actually have somebody think. We're being trained not to do that very well. The world's become more and more disassociated. It's an interesting phenomenon.
I agree with that. Absolutely. What's your thoughts, Carla?
Well, yes, I do believe the world is becoming more disassociated and and divided. But when we talk about fears, and I go back to the workplace, there's so many people that take whatever job that they can get. They apply for a job, they interview for the job. The interviewer asks them tons of questions, but as an interviewee, they don't have the mindset of saying, well, I have a right to ask questions. Is this going to be the right fit for me? And so they get into jobs that they turn out to not be what they thought they were going to be. And then there are a lot of people out there that are hanging on to a job for X number of months, days, years, whatever, so they can retire. And they have absolutely no idea what they're going to do when they retire. All they know is that they're not going to be working anymore. And I just cannot imagine being so unfulfilled that I'm just going to hang on to a job out of fear because I have to pay my bills, or I have to have a lifestyle that's like whatever, instead of saying, what can I do to foster my passions and purpose in life and actually enjoy every day of my life? And no, it's not going to come tomorrow. But you can figure out what you need to make that happen and reverse engineer it to make it happen.
Well, that's a good way to look about that. That's absolutely true. Tyson, what are your thoughts?
Well, with my perspective of the world right now, everything is so controlled and ran by money, power, social status, that we forgot how to be decent human beings to each other. But with the fear aspect of everything, it's all our minds just playing tricks on us. That's pretty much all. That's how I've seen it. And you can overcome it. Yeah, it may be tough, but there is a way to get through it. just like every difficult problem there is that life throws at us. We are all strong enough to get through it, and we just need to get through it together. And that's basically, over the last 2 years, that's the main thing we need to do. We need to actually rise up as humans and as people, and actually make a difference in the world. Instead of just sitting back, looking on our phones, blowing cash, watching TV, watching what the news wants you to see, instead of going out and actually doing your own research. So, because I was taught at a young age to look at the information as a whole, not just what people are telling you. And it's actually helped out quite a bit. So
that is good to hear. That is good to hear, because for me, what I've learned in the 35 years I've been working for other people, and Sandy, we're trying to find a way to get you on. So just hold on, Sandy. We're trying to get you to get on here in a second. I apologize for the technical issues, but for me, when I was really, really young, around 15, 16 years old, I had a totally different view of the world than I do now. And back then, I did give in to my fear. I did become selfish. I did become all those negative things because I was just in that mindset. But like I said, some number of years ago, I just had that moment and said, I need to let go of all that. That's what's holding me back. That's not helping me achieve the mindset and the wisdom to learn and to be open to learn, because I'm having those. It's almost like a barrier. If you put those barriers up for yourself, you're basically shooting yourself in the own foot. And people have told this to me many, many times, especially my father. The worst person who gets in your way is most likely you. You get in your own way more than anyone else. So if you can learn not to get in your own way, then it's like what you taught me so well, Brian. Let the experience and or the conversation be for what it is and not for what it isn't. And if that can be achieved, that is going to be a great way to move forward.
Yeah, getting in your way. You kind of asked the question: who else can get in your own way? But it almost starts, at least for me, it starts by recognizing how you get in your own way. Before you can no longer get in your own way, you have to recognize that, one, you do, and two, how do you do it, so that you don't do it any longer. Yeah, I mean, fear is usually, look, we all have it. We all live with it at some level, whether it be phobias or otherwise. Phobias are more of an irrational fear than they are fear. And then you have some different, entities. But we've been trained or conditioned to believe in fear. But you look at businesses in certain industries are existing because of fear. I mean, they promote it, they sell it, and people buy into it. It's what drives ratings for certain organizations in certain industries. What's the adage in news? If it bleeds, it leads, right? I mean, so there's certainly an aspect of business associated with it. So once you start recognizing that there's messaging happening, you have a chance to not be swayed by that message as much. They've done statistics of some of the most successful people in the world, millionaires, billionaires, executives, and the like. I mean, on average, they spend maybe 12 to 15 minutes a day gathering their news.
And there she is.
You know, I mean, they've done
Sandy.
some of the most successful people in the world. Millionaires, billionaires.
No worries, no worries.
On average, they spend maybe 12 to 15 minutes a day gathering their news.
And there she is.
You know, I mean, they've done
Sandy. You must have your speakers on, Sandy. We hear the replay.
It's
all right.
No worries, no worries.
On average, they spend maybe 12 to 15 minutes a day gathering their news.
And there she is.
Go on.
I guess the speakers are still on.
Someone might still be on LinkedIn or whatever.
Yeah.
There we go. Weird.
It's not me.
It sounds like it's recycling.
Speakers are still on.
If I turn them off, I won't be able to hear you guys.
There we go. That's better. That's better. Whatever
We
you
can
did,
hear
it
you.
worked,
Can you
Sandy.
hear us? She might have to log on and off again.
Probably. And I apologize for the issue, Sandy. Okay. Yeah, we're trying to plug your speakers back in, Sandy. Try one more time. See if that works. It might be an internal issue, maybe on Restream, probably. Who knows?
I have to log on and off again.
Probably. And I apologize for the issue, Sandy.
It's okay. It's better now.
Yeah, we're trying to plug your speakers back in, Sandy.
I
Try
did.
one more time. See if that works.
Still have a delay. It's
Still a
cycling.
delay? Okay.
You gotta close the stream on your computer.
Probably. And I apologize for the issue, Sandy.
It's okay. It's better now.
Yeah, we're trying to plug your speakers back in, Sandy.
I did.
One more time. See if that works.
Still have a delay. It's
Okay. Still a
cycling.
delay? All right.
Gotta love technology.
She's gotta close the stream on her computer, otherwise it's gonna replay.
Yeah, probably she needs to refresh her page, maybe. I don't know. Log out or log back in, maybe. That's the only thing I can.
Delay.
Well, from the sound of it, she still has the stream on the background, so she needs to close it. She's gotta close the stream on her computer, otherwise it's gonna. Okay.
Yeah, I just. So Sandy, if you can hear us, just log out and log back in, and see if that works. I apologize for that, everyone.
That's fine.
There we go. Let's try it again. No.
No, she's
Maybe
got
she
the
should
stream
restart
up
her
on another
computer.
tab.
So Sandy, if you can hear us, just log out and log back in, and see if that
Or
works.
restart your computer.
Everyone.
That's fine.
There we go. Let's try it again. Okay. All right. So let's get back to the conversation. I apologize for the technical issues, but that's the thing with technology. You have to let that go too. So you gotta let that go.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
like I
Brian,
said,
give us a couple of examples.
Well, I mean, they've done research of some very, very wealthy individuals who they don't spend their entire day watching and consumed with the news. I mean, they spend maybe 12 to 15 minutes on average
let that go too.
gathering. It's still not working, Sandy. Yep.
There we go.
No. I actually put her on mute just because I heard the background.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Look, there are people. I mean, Carla, you probably even know that, and we all know there's people who sit and watch the news for hours on end throughout the entire day, and it just perpetuates more and more fear because that's ultimately what they're selling you. They're selling you drama to keep you attentive so that they can sell advertisements every 11 minutes or so to keep you going. But, some of the most successful people don't buy into it. They have a plan, they stick with their plan, and they don't pay attention to all the superfluous stuff that's going around, flying around in the world. I mean, regardless of news agency, it's all just media created stuff to get you to watch. It doesn't make it right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just they have an agenda, and that's what they're there to do. So
and there are so many people that are sucked into that.
Well, that's the point
all
of
day
it.
long, and if they hear the same stories 5 and 10, 20 times. I mean, it's all in a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, there's
when
a reason
when I was growing up, we had like the evening news. Tells you how old I was.
Yep.
But we didn't have. Then they went to the morning show, and then a evening show. And then when cable TV came on, it became this 24-hour news cycle that just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's
even now,
sunny outside. Somebody could broadcast that it's snowing, and people would believe it when they hear it enough.
Yeah, I mean, look at social media. I mean, it's all part of it's still media, and it's all there to entice and get people to scroll and participate and be involved, and it just constantly and I'm not it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's designed to keep people's attention, and most of it is irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what I think a lot of it is that it's not irrelevant for people who don't have a plan. See, successful people and people who are really busy doing stuff or productive in their work are paying attention, growing their businesses, doing their job, and whatever it is. That they don't have time to sit and dilly-dally, right? And watch the news all day and get fear-oriented. Like, some of the most wealthy and successful people in business buy high or buy low in a recession. They grow their business in a recession, right? They might hunker down in some ways, but they're taking advantage of that and moving forward. That might be going back to school, getting new training, growing new skills, doing certain things of an investment for themselves, so that when it turns around, they're prepared for something else. But
the stock market's the same way. Everybody panics when they say that there's a
of course
gigantic dip in the market, and I look at it as, well, hell, everything's on sale.
Right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And when people panic, people sell. But guess who makes all the money? Yeah. And all the people who are perpetuating that thing. Warren Buffett buys things when they're down and sells them when they're high, or holds on to them. Like, there's a reason why people become wealthy, and it's not just inherently being lucky. I mean, there's an aspect of being lucky, sure, but people make better decisions. I mean, they look at things differently. The stock market's down 70%. Oh, good. That means there's 30% that you could take advantage of. Yeah. Right. Or the 70% you could take advantage of, and the 30% that's staying high, however you're investing. There's many ways, but it's, fear's projected, as David says. And a lot of times the fear comes from past experience, right? I mean, we're conditioned to be a certain way. It's like, hey, if I don't go to sleep early enough and I wake up late and I go to a test and I don't do well, you then start to build in, behaviors to no longer have that occurrence. So you take steps, right? We're fearful of something happening, so we change our behavior. But, what if it had nothing to do with waking up, late and going to sleep early? What if it had something to do with something else? I mean, there's all different components to it, but fear's just a thought, Chris.
Yes, I agree.
And yes, you can get rid of your fear. There are ways that you can do that.
And this is what David just said. It's all about project fear. Positive news doesn't sell. But see, it doesn't necessarily sell not only in business, it doesn't sell in life itself.
Yeah. Correct. He's exactly right. I mean, that's what they have built it on. I mean, wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, being physical distance or not being physical distance, you know, the fear of a third, fourth, fifth, 10th wave, whatever you want to call it, you know, it's been bombarded for the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. So it's going to take a while for people to relearn, you know, relearn behavior, because they're so conditioned to believe one thing, and anything to the contrary, they discount as being fraudulent. They think the fear is a real thing, you know?
Yeah, I decided a long time ago that I was not going to live in fear, because there was no way to live.
Right.
I wasn't going to do that.
Hello, Sandy. Has all the audio problems fixed?
I think so.
Yes.
Right, good to hear. Thank you. You can chime in. What do you feel about letting go of what you fear to lose? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with Carla that, you know, living your life in fear is not a good way to live, because first of all, it's probably going to be very stressful to your body. And secondly, it's just not a way to live. I mean, I just view that life is too short not to have fun. So to be, you know, living in fear all the time isn't fun. And I think that, you know, sometimes we just have to face our fears and deal with them. It's like any other problem that you face. So deal with it and then let it go, because there's no point in living your life in fear, because that's just stressful and harmful and all kinds of things. I just don't see the point of it. I'm not afraid of too many things, I guess, is what it, in the end, what it boils down to. I'm more of a problem solver. So if I'm faced with a challenge or an obstacle or whatever, I'm going to step back and see if I can overcome it. And if not, then I'll seek some help to see if somebody can help me do it. It's just not the way I like to live. I'm a pretty positive person, and I like to live in a positive sphere. I don't like to be in, you know, negativity. It's very nice to see you, Brian. We've missed you.
Thank you.
How's the weather down there, Brian?
I've been busy with a few projects.
Okay, that's fair.
What's the weather like down there?
Beautiful. It's been in the 80s and sunny.
Where are you?
A little dry. We need some rain, but we'll get it eventually.
Where are you? Are you in Arizona?
South Florida.
Well, South Florida. Okay.
Are you in Fort Lauderdale?
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton. Okay.
Okay. I've actually been there.
I have some friends that have, she's an orthodontist and he's well, they're both like maxillofacial surgeons. They're down on the intercoastal waterway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the intercoastal is really nice.
Yeah, it's been good. I've been here 20 some odd years. We've been busy. Roads are busy. People are out doing everything. It's great.
That's great.
We've been open more or less uninhibited since last May.
Yeah, I was going to say almost a good year now. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I have friends in Toronto who have a place in Boca Raton, so that's why we've been there to visit them.
Property values have gone way up.
They'll be happy. But, I don't think they're down there now. They're in Toronto. I've been emailing with her. Well, we can't travel, so.
So you can't even leave Canada?
Not really.
Really? Wow. I heard today that the 27 countries in the EU were saying that Europe should open up to international travel, and I think the vote was going to be later on today.
Greece is.
Is that it? Okay.
I know Greece has been open. They opened their travel season last week.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend of mine that's doing a mastermind, and they're going to Mykonos and Marrakesh to do two masterminds this summer.
Nice.
They go to Greece every summer anyway, because she's part Greek. Her mom's Greek and her dad's Greek and her mom's French.
Mykonos is a nice island.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. It's beautiful.
I've been there. I once did a cruise in the Greek islands.
Oh,
wow.
nice.
That's
How
on
long
my
gyros
that's
did
on
you-
my dream list. I don't call it a bucket list because I'm not thinking about kicking the bucket anytime soon.
No, neither am I. But
Looks fun.
did you eat a lot of gyros while you there on the islands?
No, I was with, it was the summer between my 2 years in hygiene school, and I was with one of my classmates. And that was just one of the things that we did on our trip, was we did a little cruise in the Greek islands. It was just for about 3 days or something.
Yeah,
But
I don't think I'll ever get my
beautiful.
husband on a cruise ship.
Oh,
Talk about fear. Talk about fear.
oh,
I never
okay.
connected this, but he's like, what if the power goes off? What if we all get norovirus? And I'm like, oh my God,
man.
I'm leaving your butt at home. I'm going with the girls.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. My wife, she has a phobia about flying. She will never step foot on a plane. Why?
Oh no, I'll fly anywhere.
I fly anywhere too. It doesn't really matter. But she's like, I'll just take anything by boat. So I'm saying, if we want to go to Hawaii, how are we going to get there? By boat? And I'm like, but for us to get there, we have to go across the country to get to the port to go
Yeah,
on
you
the
have to
cruise ship.
drive. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, we could drive, but that's gonna be God. That'll be like forever.
It's
Yeah.
a long drive from you
It's
to
what,
the
4
West
days?
Coast.
Yeah. 3 or 4 days, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it takes me to go from here to my grandparents' original home in Kingsport, Tennessee, about 16 hours.
Yeah.
So our summer home for the family is in Boone, North Carolina, which is basically right across the state line. So you can add another, let's say, hour and a half to that. So if to go to Boone, it would be like almost like 18 hours. So what my parents usually do is when they get north of Atlanta, we take a stop.
That's in my country.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll take a stop there, and then we'll drive the rest of the way in and that kind of thing. But when we take a trip, we start like early. We start like at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And we've done that. And talking about fear, try to drive in a snowstorm when it's snowing. My dad had to do that one time when we were taking a trip up, and it was like completely just snow driven. You can't even see anything. So we had to stop right at the Tennessee border and coming in from Georgia, and just had to sit there for almost like 5 hours before we could get on to Kingsport.
Yeah.
That's
I've driven in lots of snowy conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well, it's pretty hilly there in that
I've
area.
been skiing since I was 10, and every Christmas we used to go on a ski trip, and we would usually drive. So, like sometimes we went to Sun Valley, sometimes we went down to Washington State, sometimes we went to California, sometimes we went to the interior of BC. There's lots of wonderful places to ski, and we usually drove. So from the time I was 16, when I had my driver's license, I learned to drive in the snow because I didn't have a choice. My dad made us. Just made us get behind the wheel so that we'd be comfortable driving in the snow, and that's the only way to do it. You just got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as my car had snow tires, and usually I had a gear shift. I didn't have an automatic car, so you could control things better. I was never uncomfortable driving in the snow because I know what to do. I'm afraid to drive in the snow here, because the problem here is that we don't get it that much, and most people, unless they're skiers, don't know how to drive in the snow.
Afraid of other people.
Really scary.
fear of other people in the snow.
That's Georgia. That's Georgia.
They don't know what to do, so they drive too close and they drive too fast and they slam on their brakes, and they do all the wrong things. And so, I remember once it snowed and my mom had a hair appointment. It was on a Saturday morning. So, and she, even though she was from Montreal, she never drove in Montreal. She didn't learn how to drive till after she was married. So I drove her downtown to her hair appointment.
Wow.
So,
Well, she knew that I knew what to do. So, she said, "Can you take me downtown?" I said, "Sure."
yeah. So let me ask you this, Brian, because I know you've been on a great journey of living the life that you love. When did you realize that not only can you conquer that said phobia or fear or whatever, but how was that for you, and what did it take you to be clear on this is how I'm going to live my life?
I want to know, were you even fearful?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you're fearful of. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to just be outright fear. I mean, most people live and have limiting beliefs, which could be constituted as a fear, right? I'm not good enough. Am I going to be able to do this? You know, am I smart or whatever? But yeah, I mean, I have more tools at my disposal now to be able to get rid of the fear than I did years ago. You know, I'm good at creating intentions that are more powerful than the fear, but that doesn't alleviate the fear. But once you learn how to alleviate and, you know, eradicate the fear, so to speak, it doesn't really matter. But living a life that I love, yeah, I mean, that's an intentional purpose that I've created for myself.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Choice,
you know, you start with the end in mind and you work backwards. You know, really simply. You reverse engineer what you want your life to be at the end, and you work backwards to making it happen here, and you make sure things are in alignment and so forth. It's not anything that is, you know, unique in terms of, you know, proprietary stuff. It just takes a lot of work because most of the time we're not really aware of stuff, and it you know, not many people like to confront and, you know, set death as a goal, so to speak.
yeah.
It's not my goal. I know it'll come, but it's not my goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that once you get comfortable with and you overcome that fear of it, it no longer, you know, has an issue, and you can kind of move on from there. But you start at the end and you move to where you are now, and okay, now what? How do I get? So that becomes the reality, you know, and you create a plan that allows for that to occur. You know, it just takes work. Not many people put the work in.
They want it to magically happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wave your magic wand, you know, and whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. Got to work at it. You're right, Brian. You do.
Yeah, and it's not always pleasant.
No.
I mean, it's not, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to get complete on. There's a lot of things to overcome for people. And it's not always easy, you know. I mean, you know, it's a confrontation with yourself that isn't always pleasant. You know, but once it's done, it's pretty cool, and it becomes easy. You know,
It's like saying what I'm doing today may not be what I want to do, and I have to be really intentional and consistent with it. Even though maybe I'm just not feeling it today, you still have to do it, because if you don't do the work, you're not going to live your life that you want to live and your passion. And so what's the alternative? Go back to a job working for somebody else that you don't necessarily want to work with, or build somebody else's dream? Or do you say, okay, here's my kick in the tail here, that to make this happen, I got to do the work?
Yeah, it depends on what type of person you are. You know, people like Oprah Winfrey has, you know, notably has been interviewed, and they asked her how much in terms of percentage of the job that you have that you like, and she said she likes maybe about 5% of what she does. You know, which is being on television, being on stage. It's the 95% that she doesn't like. You know, and then you hear these gurus and the spiritual people and the life coaches and the wonderful people who all say, well, find your passion. And it's like, well, that's nice, but it's kind of an erroneous thing to tell someone, go find your passion, quit your job and do what you want. It's not always fiscally responsible to just up and quit and like go do what you want. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'd like to sit on the couch and manifest wealth too, but that doesn't necessarily make it happen.
Yeah, that has
You know.
a lot of people, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so I mean, so people, and I think, Chris, I think I've talked to you about this a little bit. People get, some people love what they do. They're what people. Some people love why they do it. Some people love who they do it for. Some people love why they do it. You know, finding your why was popularized by, you know, faux sociologist Simon Sinek. You know, follow your why. Apple markets their products based on why they do it. And he wrote a book about it, and everyone thinks, oh, I have to find my why. Great. I'm not a why person. You know, it sounds nice, but not everybody's motivated by that. Not everybody cares. I'm a what person. Some people are who people and who they do it for. Some people love how they do it. They want to be the best in the world at it. You know, athletes and celebrities and actors, maybe they're, you know, what they, you know, how they do it. They want to be the best at what they do. So you only need one of them. You don't need all of it. So.
Well, I think in depending on the circumstances, knowing your why and why you want to do something or you want to achieve a goal, whether it be improve your health, lose weight, start your own business, those kind of things help you remember when the times are tough, because success is not a straight line. It's ups and downs and ups and downs. And when you're in that dragging moment that you're going, you got these self-limiting beliefs that are screaming at you, and you're trying to tell yourself, you know, otherwise, and just like nothing's working out, you have to go back and reflect on, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Am I working on my health because I want to be healthy for my grandkids or whatever, or I am doing what I'm doing because I want to see healthier people in this world, whatever. I think if people go into whatever their passion project is with the expectation that it's not necessarily easy, that there are ups and downs and there are good days and bad days, if they know that realistically, they can better handle those bad days when they come.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a matter of what your values are.
Yeah.
Well, it's the old story, Carla. Nobody's life is a long, straight, smooth road. It just doesn't work that way. There are hills, there are curves, there are washouts, there are boulders. I mean, all kinds of things that we're going to come across in our life, and it's never straight and smooth and easy. That just isn't how it works. But that's okay, because it's just a matter of, that's how life is. And people who have a positive attitude and who are willing to deal with the obstacles that are thrown in their path will move forward. I mean, I always liked what I did. I mean, I really enjoyed being a hygienist because I was helping people. And I love what I do now. I mean, this is just, to me, this is just really fun. And I started this business literally on a dare from my son. That's what happened. I mean, Mark actually dared me to start this business. He did, Chris.
I love that story.
You have to know my son, but I mean, it's just, you know, he dared me. And I sort of stepped back because I was suffering. I had back pain and I had hand pain, and I didn't know how much longer I was going to be able to practice dental hygiene. And I told you guys before, I'm the Energizer Bunny, and my kids figure if I have nothing to do, I'll just focus on them and drive them crazy. So he was very concerned that I would have nothing to do. So that's why he said to me, you know, how much longer do you think you're going to be able to practice? You need to have something else to do. Turn this into a business.
Yeah.
You know, so I sort of stepped back and I thought, what have I got to lose? I mean, that was sort of how I looked at it. And I just thought, well, you know, I've never had a business, but I can do this and I'll figure it out somehow.
Figure out as you go along. Yeah. Well,
which is basically what sort of happened. But I mean, the thing is that starting a business from the bottom up it's hard. I mean, it is. It's a very hard journey. And I had no idea what I was getting into. But because of my experience doing a lot of volunteer projects and big projects, I sort of stepped outside and said to myself, how's anyone going to know you're doing this? You know, and trying to figure out how I could get myself out there so that people would contact me and see if I could help them. And so I told you, I phoned every professional organization in the yellow pages and asked them if they had an annual conference or if they provided continuing education courses to their members and would they be interested in the programming I could provide. And that's how it started. But the funniest part was that by then I had a professional business card because I have a friend who's a graphic designer and Peter designed my card for me. I thought people would ask me for my business card. That's not what they asked. They asked if I had a website. And at that point in time, I wasn't really sure what a website was. But fortunately, one of my nieces was dabbling in web design in high school. So Caitlin made my first website and I used it as a virtual brochure. But then I realized that people got business through their website. I wasn't getting any hits. So that's when my daughter hooked me up with Nathaniel. And when he looked at my website and we talked on the phone, and he said, well, you have this beautiful artistic flash page on the front of your website with an enter button, because my niece is very artistic. And he said, that completely blocks you from the internet. So that's the first thing that has to go. So we took off the flash page. And then, you know, I told you, he started speaking text speak to me. I had no idea what he was telling me. So I just told him to stop. And I said, Nathaniel, you need to talk to me in English because I have no idea what you're asking me. So just ask me in plain English what you need from me and I will be very happy to provide it. He started to laugh. He thought that was funny. I now know what a lot of those terms are, but back then I had no idea what he was saying to me. And, you know, since then I've had it transferred onto WordPress, and I told you I had a local person do it and I had her come to my house. I paid her an extra hour so she could show me how to use the back end. And that was very helpful because it's sort of like learning how to use a Word document, you know, in a way.
Oh, nice.
And so once she showed me what to do, then I told her I was very proud of myself. I figured out how to use the blog storage section, you know, all by myself. And I phoned her up because I know her quite well. And she said, well, good for you. But I figured out a lot of other things because I'm not as afraid of the technology now as I used to be. Because I mean, I didn't grow up with any of this stuff. And now it doesn't scare me so much. Now I'm even willing to try certain things, even if I'm not sure what the outcome will be. If I think it'll screw up the website, I contact Nathaniel and ask him if he can do it or how I should do it.
Right.
So,
right.
You know, it's just a matter of knowing your limitations to a certain degree. And when I was teaching in the entrepreneurial program, I told the students, when you make your business plan, unless you're very technical so that you can build your own website and do all the SEO and the meta tagging and, you know, the keywords and all that kind of stuff, you need to hire someone to do it. Because if you're not here, and if people are Googling things and you don't come up, then basically for the world, you don't exist. Because everybody Googles everything. And it's just a matter of if you don't have a website, people won't find you. I mean, it's one thing to have a storefront. If people are walking down the street, maybe they'll see you. But for a lot of businesses that are virtual, and even the ones that have storefronts, you know, a lot of times people just Google whatever they're looking for. And if you don't have a website with good SEO, then you will not be found. And that's not going to help you, you know, in order to grow your business or provide things for your clients or, you know, whatever. And it's just a matter of learning those kinds of things. And for younger people today who have grown up with computers from the time they could, I mean, I look at my two grandsons, you know, who are 8 and 11, and they're completely computer literate, completely. I mean, you know, when I was that age, I didn't even know there were going to be computers. I mean, you know, they weren't around. So, but it's just a matter of, we have to learn these things. And today, in today's world, if you're not computer literate, you're in deep doo-doo. I mean, you really and truly are. You have to. And I think I told you guys also, when I started doing these workshops, I used overheads, you know, the transparencies. And so after a couple of workshops, the HR manager came up to me and she said, I think you need to learn how to use PowerPoint. And I said, really? She said, yeah, it's an expectation. So I went, okay. And I had it on my computer, but I'd never used it. You know, when you hit it and up comes a little box that says, pick a template. So I kept looking at that going, I don't even know what a template was. And if I picked it, what would I do with it? And my son thought that was very amusing. But one of my daughters was very good with PowerPoint. And so I had Haley come to my house and show me how to use it. I mean, it's not a difficult program to use once you're shown how, but it is a fiddly program.
Well, they have kids doing PowerPoints for reports now.
Yeah.
You don't get up in the front of the class and present your report. You present a PowerPoint.
Well, that's good. Because, you know, in a lot of organizations, you have to make presentations. And today the expectation is you do it with PowerPoint. It just is what it is. I mean, I'm very comfortable with the program now. And I actually met a guy on LinkedIn who's a specialist, and I've learned a lot of things from him about, you know, how to make your PowerPoint more effective and you know, all those things. Because again, you know, people who just have text on their slides and a lot of text, your audience can read that faster than you can speak it, and they disengage. Yep. Besides, what do they need you for? PowerPoint's a tool. And, you know, you could just sit at the back and say, okay, finished reading the slide? Good. Okay, I'll give you the next one. I mean, what do they need you for? It's a matter of your preparation. PowerPoint reminds you of the things you want to talk about, but everything you're going to tell your audience shouldn't be on your slides. So it's just a matter of, you know, figuring out some of that stuff when you put together programs. I've seen a lot of people turn their back to the audience and read their slide to the audience. And I think, what are you thinking? I've seen lots of people do that, Carla. They don't know how to use PowerPoint.
I have to. And I'm sitting there thinking, don't read me the darn slide. I've already read it.
Read myself. Thank you very much. You know, I don't need you to read it to me. So it's just a matter of what are we doing? And it's a matter of learning these different kinds of things. I mean, I had to learn how to use Excel sheets. I had to learn how to use the back end of WordPress. I had to learn how to use a learning management system because I was, you know, converting a lot of my live workshops into e-learning programs. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to learn when you're using the computer. And again, it's an expectation. So for older people like me who don't have, you know, this background or didn't grow up with it, it was a very steep learning curve, and it was pretty scary initially. I'm not so scared now.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Sandy. I truly have, because for me, I'm into tech, but I am not a techie. I am not. I'm learning so much from Carla when it comes to Canva. So I'm learning a lot from that.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Just like you said, Carla, a little bit to be dangerous, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, but this is the world that we live in today, Chris, and it's a very technological world. And although basically human beings don't like change, you know, they don't like things that they don't know. But the truth is today, things are changing very quickly, and people who are not willing to be open to embrace change and to learn how to do things in a different way or learn new things, period, they're going to get left behind. I mean, that's really what's going to happen. They're not going to be able to keep up.
And I'm glad you said that, because I've learned now I need to let go of that fear. Say, hey, Chris, I'm willing to learn what I don't know, because if I don't know anything about PowerPoint or know anything about Canva or know anything about writing a business plan, that's why I have you, Brian, Carla, and many others, so I can say, hey, help me out with this because I don't know. Because, see, again, it's about me recognizing for what I know I can do and ask people for what I can't do and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I need some help. And everything.
But that's a self-limiting belief.
It is
and the
to
way
a certain
that you can do
extent,
that
Carla,
is say,
I
don't know a whole lot about Canva, and just add one word to it. Yet. I don't know about PowerPoint yet. I don't know about Canva yet. I don't know a whole lot about Excel yet.
But it's just a matter of being open to learning, Carla. And I think, you know, that's the big difference, where people who just, you know, well, I don't know how to do that. And, you know, they draw a line in the sand and they stand behind it. They're not moving forward. Well, I'm sorry, you're missing the boat, because it's first of all, it's good for your brain. And secondly, it's interesting to learn some of these new things. And again, we're living in a very technological world. And if you don't keep up, you're going to get left behind. It just is what it is. And again, Chris, as an entrepreneur, what the other thing I used to tell the students is that initially you're going to have to learn a lot of this stuff. But to begin with, in order to get yourself started, You've got to hire people or get help from people who know how to do the things that you don't know how to do yet.
Exactly.
It's a matter of making sure that you get things off on the right foot, if you will. And we can't know everything. I mean, we just can't. Ultimately, we will learn more about a lot of these things, which I've had to do because I'm a solopreneur.
This is what my father taught me at a young age. He's like, Chris, you don't need to know everything, but you need to know enough of a little of everything that you need to know. Because to try to consume all that information, especially with my brain, I would just go, I would go nuts. You know,
that's normal, Chris. It's completely normal. It's not just your brain.
Yeah. But, that's why I've now recognized that if I reach out to Brian or reach out to Carla or reach out to you, Sandy, I can be able to say, hey, I don't know this. Can you give me help? And by me opening up to myself to not only to be willing to learn that, but opening myself up to understanding the process and the experience and everything in between that, then I think that's a great thing to move forward with. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Brian? You're on mute.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to reach out to ask for help if you can't do it. Seek out an expert or whatever. But at some level, you have to take kind of responsibility for your own learning.
Right.
Absolutely.
You can ask people what to do and how to do it, but if you're not willing to do it and put in the work or take action yourself, it won't make much of a difference.
No. You can't make people do things they don't want to do, Brian.
Well, some people just want people to show them how to do it so they can do it along with them and then be done with it and not have to put any thought or effort into it. And then
it depends on the nature and the context of what you're talking about.
Yeah. It does. And like you said, Brian, it depends on the person. Because some people, they're not really open to learning new things and moving forward with stuff that they're unfamiliar with. I mean, I get bored with same old, so I kind of like to learn new things. To me, it's kind of fun. So it's just, I guess, again, it just depends on your personality.
Well, and also if you start a project, so to speak, like in the middle of the afternoon and there's a lot of stuff going on and it just isn't gelling, walk away and look at it later. Mm-hmm. I remember years ago when my mom used to sew, she'd be sewing late at night or whatever, and it just wasn't working out for her, corners or whatever. And she just finally just would say, to heck with it, I'm going to do it again tomorrow, and go back and do it. And then the next day it was just a breeze. It's all about the mindset too. Yep. And then if it ain't working, stop, take a break, and look at it again later. And then don't give up.
Don't give up. Or get some help. Somebody who knows how to do it. Show you what to do.
Or get help, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is not rocket science. It's just a matter of, your attitude and your approach to things. And I think that, particularly as we age, it's very important for our brains to keep being challenged, because it's the old story. You don't use it, you lose it. Right. And a lot of people, they go into Alzheimer's and dementia and all these kinds of things because they didn't make a plan when they retired. And so they're not doing anything to stimulate your brain. Your brain is designed, as long as you're alive, to create new neurons, but only if you challenge it to open new neural pathways. And you do that by learning new things or by doing things that you normally do in a different way. Like I used to tell people, if you're right-handed and you brush your teeth with your right hand, so brush your teeth with your left hand, see what happens. It's just a matter of even trying something simple like that and doing it in a different way. It's good for your brain. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why older people can't be sharp. And I think I told you guys about this friend of mine, this mother was a friend of mine who died when she was 105. And even though she was physically frail and she was legally blind, she was sharp as a tack. Absolutely sharp as a tack. The reason she couldn't read books anymore because she couldn't see them. But she went to the library and she got audiobooks. And she still went to concerts and listened to music and, did all kinds of things to keep stimulating her mind. because that was something she felt was very important. And good on her. I mean, you know, she was such an interesting woman and a very smart woman, but she liked to do new things. She liked to learn things all the time. I think I told you, if I went for a walk in Carzo, which was the area that she lived in, and I saw her on the street, I'd come up to her and tell her who I was, and she'd look at me, even though she couldn't see me, and she'd go, "You think I can't recognize your voice? I've known you since you were 8."
Oh, wow. That's great.
That is
was
great.
incredible. She was absolutely incredible. So I'd laugh and I'd say, "Well, you know, I know that you can't see very well anymore, so I just thought I'd identify myself." She said, "I know who you are."
Oh, wow.
That is special. That is great.
So, you know, I mean, again, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, young kids can learn things more easily, but it doesn't mean that an older person with a positive attitude can't learn new things. They absolutely can. It's this self-limiting stuff, like you've both been talking about, that holds you back. I mean, don't hold yourself back. Say, "Okay, I can do this. Might take me a little bit longer, but that's okay. I will get this."
Yeah.
And, you know, get the help that you need and practice it until you're comfortable with it. I mean, you know, the PowerPoint thing was a very funny thing, and my son thought it was hysterical because Mark's very technical. And so when I told him, you know, that this box would come up and tell me to pick a template, and I said to him, "I don't even know what a template was, and if I picked one, I wouldn't know what to do with it." So he laughed. He thought I was hysterically funny. And I said, "Well, I'm glad I'm amusing you, dear." But he just, you know, now he's very surprised at what I can actually do on the computer. It really surprises him. I said, "Well, I was determined to learn." He says, "Yeah, I know you, and you're very stubborn, so there's no reason why you wouldn't figure all that stuff out." But it's just, again, it's an attitude. And people who figure they can't do it, they won't. I mean, it just is what it is. But people who figure they can and want to and get the help and keep working at it, there's no reason why, I don't care what age you are, that you can't learn to. There's lots of older people who have learned how to use the computer and learned how to use email and, you know, all kinds of things. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. You know,
I taught my dad how to use a computer, and then he took like a computer course, and he'd get really frustrated shutting down the computer, or he couldn't get it to do what he wanted it to do, and he'd say, "Well, hell," and he just turn the power off. So do you remember back in the days where there was not like a keyboard login on your screen and you could just get on the computer and start working, you know?
Yeah.
And so then when they had the keyboard login for security,
yes,
he called me up one day and he was telling me that his computer wasn't working. And I said, "What's wrong with it?" And he goes, "Well, every time I try to put in my password, it got the asterisk sign." I said, "Dad, that's so nobody can see your password over your shoulder." He goes, "Well, hell." And I said, "No, that's the other button."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's still a work in progress, and he's 87.
Well, there you go. See,
Yeah.
and my husband just turned 82. And Yale, actually, because in law, there's all kinds of programs that they use for all sorts of things. And he had to learn them. I mean, he just didn't have a choice. And poor Yale, he doesn't know how to type. So he's one of those hunt and peck typers. So
my dad is too.
That's really time consuming.
My dad is still, he types with 2 fingers. Yeah.
I made my kids take typing in school. My mother made me take typing in high school. And I thanked her. Said, "Yep, good idea. It's a good skill to have." And I made my kids do it.
Does anybody do shorthand anymore?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe some secretaries still do, Carla.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, again, it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you and learning the things that you need to learn so that you can manage whatever it is you're trying to manage. And in some cases, if you don't have time or you don't want to, then you have to hire somebody to take care of that for you. And that's something that people also need to step back and do. Because again, in this world, you got to be technical. It's an expectation. It just is. I mean, you know, look at everybody on their phones. I can't believe how people walk down the street and don't kill themselves. I've never been able to.
Some people do.
Yeah.
I mean, how come they don't trip and fall? How come they don't get hit by cars? I mean, it's just, to me, like, could you not stand over to the side and check whatever you're trying to check rather than walking down the street looking at your phone all the time?
Do a Google search for cell phone walking accidents, and you can
Okay.
see
Yeah,
tons
you will
of
find a lot, yes. But for me, I have learned this from my mother so well. And this is what she tells me every single time, especially when I was going to school when I was in special education in my classes, and I get real frustrated and everything like that. And she said this is it's very just simply put, Chris, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter because your mind is over the matter. So when I look at that, and I'm like, wow, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And I asked her that. I was like, "Is that the way we need to approach it? If it doesn't matter, then you shouldn't mind it." And she's like, "Yeah, if you don't mind, then it shouldn't matter." Then
Good point.
that is.
It's an attitude, Chris. I mean, it's totally an attitude, and there's lots of people that just don't have a good attitude towards their lives. And I step back and I feel sorry for them. I just really do. I mean, it's too bad. Because you're going to miss your life.
Right.
Well, to a lot of people, everything is an issue. Mm-hmm. And, it's a matter of whether you look at a problem that you have as just a bump in the road or whether you see it as a mountain that you have to climb.
True.
Yep. So I'm going to put this out there to everybody, and I want everyone's take on it. So, Brian, if you had a call to action to overcome what you let go to fear to lose, what would that call to action be?
Not having the ability to not fear what you're going to lose. Look, it's some very very pragmatic way of looking at it. You're going to lose everything regardless. And it's a matter of, like, for me, it's a matter of practicing detachment. What we place significance on, or what we don't place significance on, has an impact, right? I mean, where our attention flows is where energy goes, more or less. So the call to action is, take stock in what's really important in your life and what isn't. Do some work on values and figuring out what's really important to you. Because very often we think certain things are and they're not. Start paying attention to what's going on.
That's very well said. Very well said.
I say look at what you have to gain rather than what you have to lose.
Oh, yes.
Because you may have
positive.
a job that you're holding on to, but you could go walking in tomorrow and that job could be gone because that job was never yours. Your job was something that you were doing for a company, and they could tell you bye-bye at any time. So truly take time to look at what you have to gain and what's important to you in life, whether it be more time with the family, more time flexibility. For me, it was time flexibility to be able to take care of family and to take care of myself. Look at those and look at the things you have to gain. And yes, it'll be work, but look at that as a positive, that the gains are going to outlive the struggles, and that job you're holding on to isn't really yours. Never
Everybody's
has been.
replaceable.
Every single person is replaceable if they choose to replace you with anybody. There are a lot of companies that are cutting back right now. They're not replacing people.
Correct.
So decide what you want to do. Yeah, COVID's been a scary time. People have been going without income. but there's a lot that you can do to start working on what you want to do on the side. Yes, it'll take effort. But do you want to continue working like Tyson was doing, working 3 jobs? Or do you want to work 2 and work down to the point where, because you've reverse engineered to just work 1?
Yeah.
Because you don't get time back.
No.
If you've got small children at home and you're missing out because they're not going to baseball, or you can't do this and you can't do that because of a job, you don't get that time back.
Nope. You never do.
And when I worked in fertility, I saw so many families that they spent thousands of dollars, mortgaged their house just to be able to pay for treatments and testing, and then had to turn around and go back to work after they took years to try and have that child. And I said, you don't get that time back.
No.
Time is precious. Time is
It
precious.
is.
Well, as kids grow up, they get more of their own life, so they don't necessarily want to spend the time with you either. So that's why you got to spend the time with them when they're little. I mean, that's why when the boys were really small, I went to Toronto 3-4 times a year because I wanted to spend time with them. I wanted to set up a relationship with them because we're so far away. I mean, we're literally on the other side of the continent from them. So, it just depends on what you wanted to do. And I think that we've done a good job with that because, I know the boys look forward to when we come and like the things that, that we do with them. And that's because we set that up.
Well, so if it weren't for COVID, how often would you be seeing them?
Well, I'll probably still go 3 times a year. Now that the boys are in school, it's a little bit harder, but we usually go in the spring for Passover. I usually go in the summer and give each boy a week. So they have a week with their grandmother, and I'll do whatever they want to do during that week. We check everything off. And then we usually go in October because both of them have their birthdays in October. And once Kim
nice.
gets the parties, then we usually book our flight so that we can go. And usually she does it towards the end of the month. So many times we've stayed for Halloween.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
We've gone out trick-or-treating with the boys on Halloween and, stuff like that. So
Do you guys get together for Hanukkah?
Not usually.
Oh, okay.
What we do with that, Carla, is I make arrangements with Mark so that one or two of the nights that when they're lighting the candles, we do it on Skype or Zoom so that we can see.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
And we usually, sometimes we send money, but sometimes I ask him if there's anything particular that the boys want. And if there is, then we send her the money to buy it from us.
Nice.
So it's just, we stay in pretty close touch with them.
That's great.
We try to Skype every Sunday. And that way, at least we get to have a conversation with them. It's not the same, of course, as being with them. But at least we get to find out what their week was like and what they're up to and, whatever. And so very rarely do we not get to have that conversation every week.
Right.
Where we do see them. But it's very hard being so far away. And this COVID thing has just, I haven't seen my brother since this all started. I talked to him on the phone a few times, but I haven't actually seen him. I've seen my sister a few times. But my brother, I think I told you guys, he moved up to Whistler. So, he's not even in town very often. And it just, it is what it is. So.
How far is Whistler from you?
It's 2-hour drive.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad. But I used to work with Dave. So, we used to see each other all during the week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're both, retired from dentistry now. So he teaches skiing up at Whistler.
Nice.
Oh, you just want to go teach skiing again.
That's what it is.
It's fun.
Yep.
I did it for many years on the local mountains. I taught on Mount Seymour because I took my instructor's course when I was in high school. I went to Banff. That's where they ran the instructor's course. So I went to Banff. I took the train. And I went to Banff and I took the instructor's course and then I started teaching on Mount Seymour. So nice. I used to teach Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday nights.
Nice. And as always, I'm so thankful and honored to have every single one of you in my life and that I can be in yours. And thank you for adding value to our audience and people who chimes in, whether it be on YouTube or on LinkedIn Live. And like I said, I'm so thankful and honored. I know, Brian, me and you got to get caught up on a few things, and probably we'll get with you here shortly with Sandy and Carla. But I appreciate you guys, and like I said, Sandy and Carla, if you can stay on for a couple of minutes, would be great. And thank you all for joining us today for another great and engaging conversation.
I'm sorry I missed yesterday, Chris, but it was just too busy.
Oh, we're gonna get you up about that. That was a good. Yes. So, Brian, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, sir. Thank you so much, and
Nice seeing you, Brian.
Take care, Brian.
Take care, Brian.